The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised.
Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot.
Are you experienced?
Stop right there!
From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
They let us play with all our toys. They let us think that we're big boys. They let us make the louder noise, but women rule the world. They let us think we're Superman.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on iTunes and TuneIn. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you. For you. I will stop till I reach the top just to be there with you. With you.
Dave, oh Dave, are you playing with Bigfoot and aliens again?
Dad, you gotta stop haunting the ghost. It's scaring them.
All right, seriously, put down the pointy sticks.
Oh, the deeper I fall.
Okay! Game on! Game on! Game on!
The password is...
All right.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio. Mr. Bumblefoot, Dave is ready for liftoff.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you.
Seriously, Dave? Really? Aren't you a little old for a tinfoil hat?
Hiya! Toby! Bye-bye! Love you! Bye-bye!
Tickets, please take your seat on the left. We'll let the exit. Prepare for pickup. Start. 2, 1. Boost ignition and liftoff.
I'm such a lucky guy, 'cause after all this time, it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I fall. The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight I am your host, Dave Scott. It's great to have you along for the ride on this Wednesday, September 20th. Thursday, September 21st, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. Hope you had a great day or night. We are live right here in the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia as we are here for your listening entertainment 7 days a week. We welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live on spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listeners. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Like our music, get your horns up for Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy, and Sons of Apollo. Bumblefoot is the official sound of SOR. We're all over social media. You can follow us on Twitter like Goddess Michelle at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States. TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. And download and subscribe to our shows from iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, if you want to take part in this show, you got to do me a favor. You got to sign into one of our chat rooms, either on Revolution Radio, Spreaker, the UPRN chat room, or on Facebook. Join up at the SOR Space Travelers Club. Or if you're on Twitter, just use the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. I will get to your questions and comments in there as well. Now, if you head to our website for $5 a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. You can also shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read the Encounter online, where my latest blog is. And if you've had an experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. We got great video viewing as well from Tim Doyle from UFO Seekers and Leslie Mitchell Clark's Contact TV. For the last few months, you, our awesome audience, have heard me bring up stories and hauntings of the museum where I do a monthly tour called the 108 Heritage Site. But really, we've never dedicated an episode to it, so tonight on Ghosts of the Great White North, with Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada, we're getting into the hauntings of the Gold Rush Trail. Mike, along with Derek White Sky Cloud, who should join us later, have investigated the site a few times. In fact, it was these guys who went on record as saying the 108 Heritage Site is one of the most active and haunted places in British Columbia. So we're going to get into the Post House, Willie, the 105 House, and Emily, the little girl who resides there. We're also going to get into the picture I released a couple weeks ago regarding the man on the barn stairwell. What's he all about? Also joining us tonight are members of my team who helped me out with the tour, Corey Greaves, who was in the barn the night the photo was taken. As well, later on, we're going to try and get Carrie Mingo, who helps with the tour as well, as she will hopefully join us in hours 2 and 3. So right now we have Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada and Corey Greaves. How are we, my friends?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Dave?
Good tonight. Wait.
Excellent. Corey, I'm going to get you to speak up just a little bit. I know you got a nice, soft, sultry voice, but tonight you got to belt it out, man. You got to belt it out.
Like I'm yelling at my kids, right?
Exactly. Always like you're yelling at your kids. That's the way it's going to go. All right. Well, you know what? First and foremost, all of us are making a road trip in just a couple of days down to the Forest Moon Paracon in Concrete, Washington, put on by Forest Moon Paranormals, Eric and Izzy Cooper. So it's great to be a part of that. Mike, I'm getting excited on hitting the road. Carrie is coming with me. Corey is coming with me. We got to circle down and pick up our Keith Andrews before we make our way south across the border. You excited about this weekend, Mike?
I'm really excited, even though I have to drive alone. Sounds like you'll have fun. I will party in your vehicle. My slideshow, or PowerPoint as they call it nowadays, is over 50 slides. So you're in for a good lecture with lots of fun photos. There's a couple of you in there too.
Oh no.
Absolutely.
I'm not photogenic. Please don't tell me that.
You look good, as always.
Oh, I don't believe that for a second. Face for radio here, my friend. Face for radio. Don't scare the public.
I got to use you, man. It's a good picture. I'm not telling you what it is. I'm not showing you until you're there.
Oh, wow. Well, I appreciate that.
Nice candid one.
Do you care to maybe fill in our audience a little bit? Just tease us a little bit about what your speech is going to be about at the Forest Moon Paracon.
Yes, Eric has asked me to do a speech on paranormal investigation, etiquette, and all the gear that goes with it. So basically I'm going to be talking about what is a haunting. I'm going to be highlighting various types of hauntings. I also have some really wicked evidence I'll be showing in the form of video and EVPs. 3 of the 5 EVPs I'm showing are actually from the 108 mile and probably my personal favorite EVPs I've ever grabbed. So lots of gear footage like that I'll be showing, and I'm excited to talk about the investigation and the etiquette part. Eric really wants me to hit the etiquette part home.
Why do you think that's so important, Mike?
Because we all have to play nice and we should all be uniform so we all don't look like those guys or have the rep of being those guys, if you know what I mean. I'm quoting, air quoting.
Well, no, I understand that, and I can see your fingers doing the air quotes as we speak. But explain to our audience who those guys are.
I'll use your term, Pokemon ghosters, the ones that don't take it seriously, the ones that don't get back to their clients, the ones that are there just for the weekend warriors. One quote that I have on my slides is, if you don't have time to review evidence, you don't have time to investigate. How does that sound? You just buzz me out?
No, I don't know what it was. I don't know. We'll just blame Corey because she's the newbie around here.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. 90 minutes. You know how much I talk. I got to talk for 90 minutes.
Well, you know what? That's why I'm bringing a pillow. No, I'm kidding, buddy. I'm kidding. Your speech is going to be absolutely fantastic. I look forward to doing it. And the one thing
will wake you up.
The one thing that I am really excited about, Mike, to be absolutely honest with you, is with Corey. Well, besides the pub and the $3 tequila shots, I'm very excited, especially for Corey and Carrie, because as we are grooming and growing together to potentially start our own paranormal investigative team up here, we are, getting the knowledge that someone such as yourself has and what Forest Moon has and learning. It's going to be almost like them going to an 8-hour school, in listening on proper techniques, equipment, ghost hunting abilities, what should we be looking for, what shouldn't we be looking for, and like you said, etiquette as well. So I think it's very important for them to actually get down there and listen to what you have to say, because I think you do it the right way, along with Eric Cooper's Forest Moon Paranormal. And I'm not going to berate anybody for saying, "Oh, Dave, what are you talking about?" Well, I've already said it, but I'm going to get into my speech, which I am planning on putting on Facebook Live, pending on the internet signal there. And hopefully Coop is able to get some Wi-Fi in the building, because it's going to be on I Hate the Paranormal. But I really don't. I
guess it'll be funny. Do you have any new catchphrases? Pokemon Ghost is so 2016.
I know, but I haven't upgraded because it still fits.
Well,
it still does fit. I'm going to get into some serious stuff, but, at the end, I show my passion for this field. I show my passion. So that's the main thing. Got to be passionate. Corey, you excited about the Forest Moon Paracon?
Oh, yeah. No, that'll be good. Road trip. Always like road trips. It'd be great to meet all the people that when I was doing the booking for you, that talked to quite a bit over the internet. And, it'll be good. I'm excited for it. Road trip. Oh, and I got to say, shotgun.
Oh, all right. You've called it. The one thing that Corey, I want you to take a moment here, because you're also involved with the Questers up here in Canada. And the week after, you have an event in Salmon Arm, British Columbia, where Stanton Friedman is going to be the keynote speaker. Could you give us a little bit on that?
We do, yes. It's. I was thinking it's our 40th year, but I don't think it's quite that. I think maybe it's 38 years that the group's been going, and it's a great family. I kind of happened upon it when I came to 100 Mile. A bit of a tragic story, and somebody said, go there for help, information, because it's based on dowsing. And, people think that you douse for water, but you can actually douse for information. So I went to, it used to be, the fall conference used to be in 100 Mile House every year, and I'd never heard of them, and I said, okay, so I went over to Martin Exeter Hall, and looking for people that would dowse a map as to my father-in-law was lost in a plane crash, unfortunately, that a few days prior to the conference. And I looked at their pamphlet of what was going on the weekend, and they were talking about crop circles and Sasquatch and everything that I love. And I bought a membership, and I've been a member ever since. I've been a member for 18 years now. I'm a member of the executive now, and helped put on all the conferences, and I've been helping to do that since I started 18 years ago. It's a great group. It's a great group of family. Just love these people. People of like minds, right? And so, Dave, I hope you're going to come. Pretty sure that you're eligible for a scholarship. So it'd be free room, free conference fee, everything like that. So hopefully you'll come down with me and meet my family.
I am hoping.
That'd be great.
I am hoping. Well, we're definitely going to try and get involved here with it. I'm going to try and bring in Derek White Sky Cloud now, as he seems to be buzzing me in right now. But
hey, Dave.
Yes.
You ever watch Border Security?
No.
No.
I
Okay.
do.
I don't watch television. To be honest with you,
I'm going to be alone in my truck, going with 4 giant metal cases full of audio and video recording equipment.
I've been thinking about that too. Yeah.
with weird other doohickeys. So I think my plan is to print off what everything is of like buying sites to be like this. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I think it's going to be a great event. And Skype is acting like an idiot right now, will not allow me to bring Derek in. So I may have to... I cannot tell anybody anymore how much I hate Skype.
You shouldn't say that. You know what? You say that way too much, and you need to stop saying that. Sorry, but sometimes I do tell you things.
I know.
Something I'm telling you. You need to stop
I understand that, but when it's affecting my connection with getting guests on and connecting with Revolution Radio, which I'm apparently off the air with now, it buggers me up. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It's amazing how Skype has gone completely downhill with their connection ever since Microsoft took over. But what do you do? What do you do?
Get a MacBook.
Well, I don't think a MacBook is going to make a difference on Skype, considering it's a program. Derek, if you're listening, I'm going to call you in on your cell phone because I don't have a choice. So anyways, as we work through this technical snafu that once again continues to haunt me, this damn Skype, I'm wondering, Mike, what makes you feel that the 108 Heritage Site is the most, or one of the most haunted places in British Columbia?
I'll put it down as one of the most haunted. Why do I think that? Gold Rush, man. After talking to the locals up in the 108 Mile Caribou area, the Cottonwood area, which is about how 3 and 4 hours north of 108 Mile, when all the Americans were coming up for the Gold Rush to Barkerville, BC, it was cowboy western town. There was shootings. There were people would run their horses ragged, so their horses would die, and they would literally put them to the side of the road, buy new horses, keep going. Theft, prostitution, all the different roadhouses, people stealing gold from the miners, hiding out in all these different roadhouses. I think the trail was so busy for those years that they've just seen so much bad stuff that's off the books because it's back in the 1800s. And I feel doing the investigations at these areas, we're really trying to write a quote-unquote book and document all of what happened if we can get information from the spirits. That's what I like to do. I try to obtain the information from the spirits.
1 sec, you're going to hear a dial tone. I'm going to try Derek's cell phone here. I got to admit, this whole thing just kills the momentum. Just absolutely kills the momentum of what you're trying to accomplish. Derek, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. I apologize for having to call you. Normally we do this through Skype. Skype is having one of its temper tantrums tonight, so unfortunately I can't connect on there right now. I don't know why, but we'll see how it goes. How you been doing, my friend?
Good. Busy as all heck as usual.
Yeah? Well, that's good.
Yeah.
The hair and mustache are looking good?
Yeah, hair and mustache has been pretty good. It's actually been holding up since I've had a few hauntings.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, you are going to come up to the 108 Heritage Site where you have been numerous times with me and with fellow investigators. Unfortunately, due to a vehicle accident, you couldn't make it up. But I'm telling you, man, you missed one heck of a time. I wanted to go so bad, but my truck I got hit in the parking lot, and I wasn't in the truck, but some guy drove into the parking lot, crashed into my truck on the side, and next thing I'm like, okay. So, yeah. Nailed it pretty good.
That was the most active night. That was the most active night that we've had there, by far.
Was that the night of the
one that we had?
Was that the night of the photo?
Yeah, that was the night of the photo.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. I don't know if it was because it was a big fundraiser, and that's maybe why. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know if that's accurate or not. But
it has been very active since the forest fires. And you know, the first night we had the tour with the after the forest fires. We had a lightning storm, and we had 16 people on the tour that night, and we started experiencing something in the post house that we'd never experienced before, and that was the feeling of walking into cobwebs, even though there are no cobwebs in that building. And we had about 6 or 7 people get hit with cobwebs, including myself. And in the barn, it was very active as well, because when we walked into the barn, it was like the spirits were waiting for us at the door. Literally, because the minute we walked in, our K2 meters were going absolutely straight to red. They weren't even, bouncing. They were just straight to red the minute we walked in. We'd never had that before. So when we did the other tour, the last tour, which was for the firefighters from the 108 Volunteer Fire Department, we ended up having 46 people show up, paid guests, and we also let the firefighters and a few volunteers with them come in for free, obviously. And when we did the tour, we ended up having a lot of action and a lot of people who were very skeptical showing up, leaving with impressions that there is something to this paranormal thing. Something to it. Derek, like I said, you've been to the 108 Heritage Site before. Let's get your impression about why the facility is so haunted.
Well, it scared all the ghosts out of the forest since the fire. One of the solutions. Like, hide me, I'm in the forest fire. I would say because there's so much activity, and we're going to have more paranormal activity because due to the forest fire is one of them. And a lot of people's energy is dealing with depression, anxiety, fear, and there are places that are considered what we call hot zones. And so, for example, 108, that place, the building itself, the Heritage House, because of one of the oldest areas in the area, is considered a hot zone, and is like an act. How do you say it? I'm blank.
I think this whole area has lots of stuff going on. We
Now
have
it does,
lots of
more than ever.
alien stuff, yes, extraterrestrial stuff, spirit stuff. I think this whole area is kind of a hot spot for this kind of paranormal stuff myself.
I think it's from the gold rush, the amount of tracks that were laid going up and down the roads of people desperate for money, desperate to gain fortune. If they're not going to gain fortune on panning for gold, they're going to take your fortune. I think there's a lot of that, which makes the areas active.
Absolutely. So let's explain a little bit about the 108 historic site. This is a museum that has been sitting on property right by the 108 Mile Lake, right outside of 100 Mile House, British Columbia, where I live and broadcast, and Corey lives as well. And this museum is situated right in the middle. It has a beautiful old house that has on the downstairs very thin halls. It has a kitchen, it has a bathroom, it has a ladies' lounge, a men's lounge, and then you go upstairs to where the bedrooms are, and there's 6 bedrooms upstairs. Everything is dressed as you would see a museum dress, so everything is brought back to time. And the main house, as far as we know, has about 6 spirits in it. 5 for sure, possibly 6. And what we end up doing is we end up bringing in, as part of the board, we end up bringing in sometimes buildings that maybe have been a little neglected but have some historic significance to what was made from the area way back when and how this area got built. For instance, we have an old logging truck that's in there. We have a Clydesdale barn that was built just after World War I, where the gentleman who built it was building it as a tribute to his friend who was lost in the First World War. We have a church, we have a schoolhouse, we have a barn, which has some activity. We'll get into that, even though that isn't part of the tour. We have the post house that used to be an old hotel where a lot of gambling happened, drinking happened, prostitution happened. That's where you would recognize where I've mentioned about Willie and Mary, and we're going to get into Willie and Mary tonight. We have the Cold House that is now the museum store. There is the post office, and the newest building that we have brought in there recently was the old, oh goodness, it just passed my brain here.
Conservation Officer House.
Yes, Conservation Officer House, which there is someone in there, and we'll get into that probably in hour number 3, if 2 or 3, if Carrie can make it, because Carrie actually has some very, very interesting stories about that. Now, this building is maybe 7 feet by 10 feet long. It is tiny. But the first time Carrie walked up to that building, she was just pulled over to that building, put her hand up on the glass, and from the outside of the building, and from the other side, inside, there was tapping on her hand. It was very interesting indeed. So we'll get into that as well. So there are a lot of spirits wandering around that area, all from way back when the Gold Rush Trail was red hot, with people from all over the world, mainly Canada and the United States, but there was people from India, China, Japan, all trying to get their hands on the riches of the Gold Rush Trail. And as Mike stated before, I mean, we were back then a real land of lawlessness until the Northwest Mounted Police were formed, which eventually became the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So there's a rich history of violence, of terror, of gold, of riches, of prostitution, murder, rape, a little bit of everything that went on this, right, Mike?
That's true. And do you want to talk about the urban legend of there?
Absolutely. You can get into that.
All right. So there's no official documented case of what I'm about to say, but the lady was real, which is correct. So the 108 Mile Post House used to be, it was a roadhouse where you would go sleep for the night on your way up to the gold, to go pan for your gold. Her name was Agnes McVie, and it was said that her and her family, as well as she would kidnap or solicit younger girls to be her prostitutes to lure gentlemen down from Barkerville, where the gold was, to have them in their rooms. Then they would poison the miners and steal their gold. It's said that there's $1 million worth of gold buried somewhere in the hill in the surrounding areas of the 108 Mile Ranch. I would love to find it. They did find a stash of gold underneath the 100 Mile Airport, correct, Dave?
Apparently, when they were building the airport, yes. There is literally gold buried all over the hills around here. And apparently around where the original post house was, which sits probably 500 meters, or not even, I'm going to say maybe 200 meters from where it sits now, there is apparently gold all over that hill buried, because before they went, because of the legend of Agnes McVie, gold miners would apparently go bury their gold before entering there, so just in case something happened to them, she wouldn't get their gold. So yeah. It is quite incredible. So go on with your story.
Apparently she was a bad lady. I don't remember how many miners there were supposedly. I think it was in the 80s. Is that correct? Around there? Word of mouth, Dave, with that? What have the locals said about how many people she supposedly murdered for the gold? It was said that she was arrested and brought down to New Westminster and, I guess, hanged. But there's no actual evidence of the hanging. Yeah, it's a really interesting place. Her roadhouse, now the post house, is probably one of the trippiest buildings I've ever investigated with the energy, because I personal experience, find the energy very negative in there.
Well, Willie and I have a deal, so you should be okay. We'll get into that a little bit later on. Corey, you've lived here in this area for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard the stories about Agnes McVie and the post house and all the legends that kind of trip around here. What have you heard in regards to the stories?
Yeah, I haven't heard. I've read a little bit about Agnes McVie and the stories, but what I have heard is many friends that, like I said, I've lived here for 22 years, and people just start talking about the 108 and the heritage site. And I've heard many stories of experiences that people have had there. One of them actually kind of freaked me out a little bit. A couple of good friends that are very not into paranormal stuff at all. They were at the 108 heritage site, and I believe they were at the barn. The barn used to hold, anyways, a few years ago, some like dances and parties they still do that a little bit, but festivals and neighborhood dances, and they were there with their kids, and they saw some red eyes glowing at them through some of the boards. And that was years ago they told me that, and that's kind of always stuck with me and made me a little leery of going in there. And then after seeing the picture that night, and I was like, oh, that's why I've always felt a little leery about going in there. I've got lots of stories from people that have seen things. Nicole was over the other night when you were here, and Nicole was telling a story of when she was with her kids, when the kids were small. So this has got to be, oh goodness, her daughter's 25 years old, so 15 years ago. And the kids went for a school trip there, and when they were about to leave, they were all, checking the kids. Okay, we got all the kids, and they were like, "Well, who's that? Which group does this child belong to?" And they were like, "Which child?" And they were saying, "Well, that one that was just walking right by here." And so two of my friends saw a child, which is probably Emily, if that's the child in the main house there. And they were like, "Well, no, there was no other child." And they were like, "No, we saw her. She was just here." And there's many stories. If you actually, I was thinking about this, if you actually put out a post to get some stories from people, I'm sure you would get 100 stories at least from people that have had weird experiences at that place.
Now, when I introduced Derek to the museum, Derek, do you remember we went down there with my daughter and her friend, and it was probably, around 10 o'clock at night? It was on a weekend, and I remember you saying, as we kind of walked around the house and over by the barn, you were like, man, this place is haunted. And then we all saw the face of the window. Do you want to describe that night?
There was actually, on the left side, I would say, no, the right side of the house, there was a face looking out the window. Like, all of us seen it. And yet, one person, when we did arrive there after, someone says, oh, it's a mannequin. No. The mannequin's facing inwards. Its face was like the head was facing inwards towards the entrance coming in. I saw the face looking out the window as if it was part of the mannequin. It looked like another person. So that's a total different look. And, someone said to me, oh, maybe because they turned the head. No, this mannequin's stiff. How can you turn the freaking head on the mannequin? Because it's all one piece. So, there are people. I remember when we went upstairs, and we did make contact with one of the ladies that passed away there, and she said she didn't like the makeup on one of the mannequins. She hated it because she says back then, those times, when she did live in this house, no one wore makeup. So she looked like, she said she looked like a lady, the mannequin looked like a lady of the evening. And that's not one of us, she says. And she was really upset about it because she was asking everybody to take all that color off their face and make them look normal. So, yeah, it's interesting. I know when we did arrive there and went through the long barn, we all had our experience seeing that long shadow arm reach across the end of the barn and turn the light on. And when we did walk to the end, because I remember Ken was with us, the guy who was actually the caretaker, he's the one that had the key to unlock the door to turn on the light. So, or to turn the light on in another room. So we knew very well that place is haunted for sure. I mean, it was kind of cool seeing a long black arm stretch across the room to turn on the light, let us know that they were there. Because we asked them, let us know that you're here. So they turned on the light. That was pretty cool.
I totally remember that now happening. That was actually really, I remember Ken. Ken was floored when he saw that.
Yeah. Even Ken got surprised. He didn't expect that before.
It was pretty incredible. And that was the first investigation that I had ever been on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got that. Let's start, guys, with the post house, because the post house is a building that is, once again, very ominous in tradition. It's about 200 meters from where it originally sat, and there was a lot of things happen. As I explained earlier, it was a hotel, it was a brothel, it was a pub, it was a gambling center, and just kind of a roadhouse for people to stop at as they were making their way up to the Klondike to try and find gold in them thar hills. Now, of course, like Mike said, the legend of Agnes McVie came along. We're still not sure how true that story is, but this is one of the most haunted places that I've been in. We know that there are 3 spirits in this building. Downstairs, there is the gentleman whom we like to call the Blue Man. And the reason why we call him the Blue Man, and when Carrie gets here later, we'll get her to explain. Carrie, one day on the bottom floor, there's 2 rooms on the bottom floor, and then there's 2 rooms on the upper floor. On the bottom floor, when you walk in the building, you got the main room, there's a little bar there, there's a fireplace. And then if you turn to your right, you go to the stairway that goes upstairs. If you go straight ahead, you go into another room. And as Carrie was walking to, I believe, leave the building, or just walking around the bottom floor in the first room, she looked into the second room. And in the second room, they have a couch in there now, guys. And sitting on that couch was a shadow person, outlined in blue, almost like they had a blue aura. and his hand was up, waving his pointer finger over to Carrie as if to come on over here. And Carrie got a little freaked out, did not go that way. So upstairs, we have two spirits. When you go up the stairs and into the main room, that's where a lady named Mary resides. And Derek, I believe that the first time you guys investigated that, Mary actually moved a piece of fool's gold or something along those lines.
Yeah, we actually brought some fool's gold with us to look like, it looks like real gold. And she was, it was kind of cool to see her move the gold from one place to the other. But we wanted them to pick it up. And I guess they did.
And
so, but that's called an apport. They're known to move.
Mary is a very friendly spirit on that top floor, isn't she, Corey?
I don't know a lot about Mary. I don't feel anything negative up there. I haven't. The one experience I had with you a couple of months ago when we were there, a little blue flash on your back when you were talking about her. I believe it was when you were talking about her. And I see a blue flash quite often. It was a little bit different color blue, but it wasn't a negative thing, so I can't really say any more than that. Sorry. But there was definitely something up there, and it made itself known when we were talking about it.
She is very, very sweet, and the one thing that we have learned is that she absolutely loves to perform for people in the room. She loves it when we have the tours go through. She will, if you got your meters set up, she will literally go stand in the middle of those meters to light them all up, as you would only hope happens.
Especially for Mike. She kept touching Mike all the time.
Well, that's Mike, the other thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Derek.
Do you blame her?
Mike, huh?
Do you blame her?
No. She kept touching your bum all the time, Mike.
I don't know. I don't remember that. It's kind of weird. Probably, though.
But she has been known to touch people. She has been known to, tap people on the shoulder or the elbow or tug hair or something along those lines, or rub it against people's back, much like she's like walking past them and people will, brush their hand against your back or something along those lines. That's what she has been known to do. She is very friendly when the tour comes along. However, right across the hall in the other room, Mike, I'm going to let you take the story and tell us about Willie.
One question I did have before getting into Willie, do we know what Mary's history was? Or what?
This is what I've been able to learn about Mary. Okay, through questions, through investigation, along with talking to some local historians. Mary was a prostitute in the building. And she was there against her will. Willie overlooked her because Willie, I believe, had a little bit of a crush on her and now takes care of her on the other side. And she was, I believe she had reddish, darker red hair. It was long. She was a very thin, petite girl. She was around between the age of 21 and 25. I apologize. I cannot narrow that down any further as of yet. But she was very feminine. She didn't like her job, but she knew what would happen if she tried to escape. Because back then, we have to remember, there was no women's rights. These girls were kidnapped to be sex slaves. As sad as that is.
That ties into the urban legend. One thing I'd like to investigate next time I'm up there, I'd like to have a medium with me where maybe the medium could communicate with Mary to see who brought her there on her will and get a name, a year, that sort of stuff. If Willie will let that happen.
We'll have to see, because, no offense, the last time you were up investigating, your team caused a whole hell of a lot of trouble.
I was the victim.
No joking aside, and you and I have talked about this. Let's cut the joking aside here.
Yep.
But your team, or I shouldn't say your team, members of your former team, caused a heck of a lot of problems in that building for a lot of people. Take us from the day before when we investigated right through to the next day and the end of the tour.
So the previous group I came up with, it was just 4 of us that went up, and we were going to do some videoing of 108 Mile, do a video of like the investigation, document it all, tape it all. The night of the investigation, we first set up we first helped with the tour, right? We started with the tour?
No, the Friday night we did our own investigation, and then Saturday night was the tour.
Okay, I'm just trying. Oh yeah, Friday night was when all the bad stuff happened. One of the team members, he was heavily provoking and saying some pretty off-color stuff. I'm not going to repeat them because I'm just not going to. Which I found a little offensive. And once the heavy provoking started, the energy shifted greatly in the post house. I wasn't myself. I'm very, as you can probably tell, joking. I'm not very serious unless I have to be. But my personality changed. I was rude. I was curt. I was mean. I needed space. I walked away from the team and just walked into the field by myself. You were talking to one of the other female team members, just yapping about aliens, I believe. Like you were looking in the sky.
Yes.
And the male team member fixated on that. Maybe that could have been tied into Willie and his but he wanted to rage on you. How would you explain it?
I would explain it like this, because you guys wanted to focus on the post house. That, for any paranormal investigation team coming up, has been the highlight reel besides the house and Emily, the little girl. The post house just has an odd, eccentric feeling to it. Sometimes the air feels really good, and other times, as you guys know, you've all been in there, it feels very heavy. And that night, you guys had set up your gear, and you were focused on the closet, because upstairs in what we call Willie's room, we believe he committed suicide in that closet. And that's kind of his hiding area. And from there, as you guys were doing your investigation, I was just kind of tinkering around, kind of staring up at the stars, looking for UFOs, when one of the members, who is also an ET contactee, she came out to join me, and you guys were still doing the investigation up there, and her and I were actually hearing rustling sounds right by the lake. Now, obviously, as a skeptical kind of mind, you look at it and you think, okay, easy enough, it's wild animals. Could be bears, could be any type of cat, and I'm not saying house cat, I'm saying cougar, lynx, bobcat. We got all 3 of them up here. Could have been a deer, could have been moose, whatever it was. But the weird part about it is, if you remember in the movie Signs, where you would hear rustling right in front of you, then all of a sudden when you put your flashlight there, because it's probably about 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, you put your flashlight there, and all of a sudden there's no noise. And then, like 100 feet away, there happens to be rustling in that area now. So you'd move your flashlight over, and that would stop. And then it would start moving at the back at the original location again. So we were playing that game, and all of a sudden, one of the male members of your team opened the door and yelled over at the member who was with me to come on back. So that's what we did. We came on back, And literally, as soon as I walked in the building, he stormed out and pretty much ran right to his vehicle because he just was not right. Later on, found out that he absolutely felt like he had something attached. I believe you got video footage of that, if you want to explain.
I do. I have video footage and audio footage. Actually, Dave, one of the EVPs I PM'd you earlier is that event transfolding from, if that's even a word, transfolding. It's basically the point of when the tides turned to where it got really hectic and we had to leave the building. The video footage technically is spot on with everything. It captures the demeanor of all of us changing after the couple things he said up in the room where supposedly Willie had hung himself. We got a foul smell in there, and we also got cobwebs and some really eerie EVPs. One I think was saying open hell or something like that. And right after the EVP of open hell, one of the female members says, "I got to get out of here." And we basically booked it out of there. And that was it for the post house for that night. I've never felt anger like that before either. So I'm wondering if there was a play on the energy, making myself angry and making the other the other male, extremely angry. Dave?
I have no idea what happened there. I wish you would have sent this to me as an audio file because then I could play it. Then I could absolutely play it for our audience, but I can't save it on my computer. I'm going to try this way here.
When we go into break, I'm going to try. I'll see if I can do it differently.
Yeah, let's do that. Corey, as we'll get into more into Willie in hour number 2, because I think Willie is important to discuss. This is where we talk about provoking. And Derek, I want to get your opinion of provocation of spirits as well in this. We only got about 4 minutes before we got to go to break here. But Corey, I'm just curious in regards to Willie and the post house. You've been in there now numerous times. Have you ever felt fear in that room?
Mm-hmm. No, I haven't actually. They actually have said before a couple of times, the only place on that property that I have felt fear is in the barn. I didn't feel it that night the picture was taken. I felt it, probably in the summertime when we were there. I couldn't wait to get out of there. But no, I haven't felt it. But one question that I just popped up is that, so after this picture, which we'll talk about later, Elizabeth, before she even saw the picture, she said, "I think that he hung himself in the barn." Then I sent her the picture. I had another fella that came into the barn, said I think it was before we even walked in there, he said, "Has anybody ever hung himself in there?" And I said, "Oh, I don't know. I'll have to ask." But do you think maybe Willie, maybe that fella on the stairs is Willie? Like, how many people have hung themselves? If Elizabeth is correct, and this other fella felt that somebody had hung themselves in the barn, do you think maybe Willie is the man in the picture? Who knows?
I don't think
something
he
to
is.
Think about.
It is something to think about.
I don't know.
That is.
If
that
Willie
is.
hung himself, who knows? I don't know.
That photo, it's period piece clothing to when you would want to pin Willie being alive as well. In my opinion, it's kind of cowboyish looking white shirt with the jacket there. Western style, I guess.
Question from Goddess Michelle at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. She says, "Do you know if Mary is native?" No, Mary was Caucasian. We do know that up here during that time, even though there was a big First Nations presence in the area, they were only interested in kidnapping farm girls. So they had a particular style that they were looking for. They had to be young. Usually they were between the ages of 14 and 21 who got kidnapped in this area, and that's kind of where it went. Now, the First Nations, because 100 Mile House is really the start of what we call up here, and I'm sure all of you have heard it, which is called the Highway of Tears. That started about 30... Derek, was it 30 or 40 years ago the Highway of Tears started, where First Nations women started disappearing along the highway mysteriously?
1890s.
Was it that long?
Uh-huh.
So, but it's only really gained a lot of attention over the last...
more back in the 1940s where it started. Highway of Tears, the major part of it, recognizing it, 1940s, 1950s.
Right. So that is a different area. But up here, they were looking for farm girls. Farm girls, at 14, 15, looking to run away, maybe from a dad who was abusive, or to get away from the farm with the promise of riches on their own.
A lot of the girls were just taken from the farm. They were just kidnapped and taken. And forced slavery, forced prostitution. And that's in the area of during 1864, 1865. As part of the Caribou Gold Rush Trail, they used to take a lot of the girls from the farm. A lot of the gold miners, they would try to coax the girl to leave the old farmer's daughter joke. They would try to coax the girl off the father's farm and to go with them so he can feed him. That was part of it too.
All right, gentlemen, and Corey, we are going to hop out for our first break of the night here on Spaced Out Radio. We are talking the 108 Mile Ranch. It's a lot of fun, a lot of hauntings, and we're going to get more into the story about Willie, what it's like, and what are the repercussions of being a little aggressive with spirits. We're going to get into more of it right after this on the Mighty SOR.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over the Spaced Out Radio night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Morin. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Want a place to share your experiences without feeling judged? We have the place for you. If you've experienced sightings or contact with ETs, ghosts, cryptids, or UFOs, and you'd like someone to confidentially look into the matter, just fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our goal is to help you get the answers you need to the experiences you've had with our professional team of researchers. Your information stays 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines report. Fill out your experience today only at spacedoutradio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience. Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Welcome to Spaced Out Saturdays with me, Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. Our weekly feature on spacedoutradio.com will take you around the world discussing everything from the paranormal to the latest conspiracies from the top guests in their fields. We won't leave any story uncovered. Spaced Out Saturdays at spacedoutradio.com starting 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Jamie Sexton is back as we will talk the Rebel Planet. Rebel Planet News, once again, at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans in over 160 countries around the world. Great to have you with us as well. We are also live on the United KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Malneurophrenia. Malneurophrenia is your password. Make sure you choose it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect live with me during the show as well. You can give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also join us in the SOR Space Travelers Club. All you got to do is sign up for that. That would be wonderful. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. We'd appreciate that. And of course, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States. TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn and download our show and others on iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. You can also shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read the Encounter online, rock out to some Bumblefoot, or check out some great videos from Contact TV and UFO Seekers and more. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. Tonight, it's Ghosts of the Great White North. This is a feature we do the third Wednesday of every month, joined by Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada, also from the HCC, Derek White Sky Clown, and part of my tour guides at the 108 Heritage Site, Corey Greaves. Everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. And we are talking about the 108 Heritage Site, as it is one of the most haunted places in British Columbia. Right before the break, Derek, we were talking about Willie in the post house and provocation. Before we get into provocation, Derek, I'm curious, in regards to you being the psychic medium of the team, when you have gone into that room upstairs where Willie sits, what did you pick up?
Which upstairs, the building itself? Oh,
yes.
At the very top of the barn.
No, not in the barn, in the post house where the gold was moved in the other room.
Oh, Jesus, it's been a long time. That's been 2 years. I don't remember now. To be honest with you, I don't remember.
Do you remember it being malevolent in any way?
All I know was that there was. I'll tell you one thing. What I felt was that there was one person who tried to take control of me, possess me, and one of the guys that were with us at the time was antagonizing him to come through me, and I could feel the anger that I was going to bang my fist in the wall, like I was ready to jump on them. And then Mike started provoking it, not in a bad way, but just to get us to talk. And I guess he got really angry, and he wanted to go after Mike. And I said, "Oh, you guys can't do this. Like, this is not cool. I didn't like it. I shook it off." But they don't like our presence up there. You know, there's one room that was very quiet, even though it's just across the hall. Another room, they control that room. And if you want to provoke it by having just to ask too many questions, it will start to get angry. And then it's going to try, like he or she's not, I'll say he, is going to try to get back at you. No, I just saw your photograph that you sent me through Skype, and that looks like somebody I would feel that could be Willie, not a female.
No, it's definitely not female. That I can understand. No. Now, Mike,
that's a male, definitely.
Mike, I want you to set this up. Unfortunately, due to the Skype era here, I'm not going to be able to let you listen to the audio, but I have downloaded an EVP that you got from the post house. Do you want to break it down for people before we play it?
This is what I was talking about earlier, kind of the change in tide, where we were trying maybe a little too aggressively to to communicate with the post house spirits. A team member, he asks, "Is there anyone there?" And you can tell in the tone of voice, it's pretty dominant sounding. And then you're going to hear an EVP, what we think says, "Open hell."
All right.
And then a couple of other you'll hear. Then our female members start to smell things, and then we just book it out of there, basically.
All right, I'm going to play this EVP. It's 25 seconds long, and I'm going to play it twice, so that way you all have a chance to hear it. So here we go.
Oh, I gotta get out of here.
No.
Okay, why is this?
It does, actually.
All right, we're going to try that once again. Want to play that for you once again. Here we go.
What's your name?
Oh, I gotta get out of here.
No.
Okay, why is this?
It does, actually.
All right, to me, Mike, and I'm curious to see what our audience thinks of that EVP as well. To me, it sounded like somebody was saying, "Get out," not "Open hell." But that could be just me.
I'm just trying to find the full sentence for you of what we thought it was. We have "Open hell, I want to," or "Open hell, I want to go," is kind of what we thought it was.
All right, well, let's try it once again. You guys tell me what you hear. I'm curious. Put it out there. All right, hold on. Here we go.
What's your name?
Oh, I gotta get out of here.
No.
Okay, why is this?
It does, actually.
All right, there we go. Let's see what your reactions are on social media, what you guys are hearing. I'm waiting to see responses here because I do know. Okay, Teresa believes it says hell. So there are going to be some different reactions, and I apologize. I know you guys, Corey and Derek, couldn't hear it. It's just the way Spreaker sets it up on this end when you use the studio. But Joe heard "Get Out." I heard "Get Out" as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun in trying to figure this out. Kat believes it is hell. So let's you guys in a group had done some provocation in that room, correct?
Yeah, it got a little aggressive at times, but yes, we did.
All right. Now, one of the ladies in the group actually says in that clip, "Did someone fart?" Explain that, Mike.
Yep, that was Melanie saying, "Did someone fart?" A lot of times when you're dealing with a ticked-off spirit, a more darker spirit, or a more malevolent presence, comes an odor of rotten eggs. So a lot of times when we do EVP sessions, if we fart, burp, sniff, say something, we call it out. Did somebody do this? Did somebody do that? We're technically supposed to say, "I burped." But in this case, we're asking, did somebody do that, to rule it out, because it was really strong, man. You could basically chew it. So that would be why we asked that. We all smelt it, and once we all smelt it, the temperature kind of dropped, and I don't know if that clip was, Jeff clipped it at about 25 seconds. I think a little longer, we might even say, oh, we just walked, there's cobwebs, which is another tell for that something's conjuring energy to communicate or to reach out to you, so to speak.
You guys on night number 2 after the tour, because the night of the tour, after you did the investigation on night 1, you went back after the tour on night number 2, and I believe that's where you got the real sulfur type smell in there, rotten eggs type smell. And that's where a lot of weird stuff happened, because on the video, you guys are seen literally running down the stairs to get the heck out of the building. What was that feeling like?
Terror. A feeling of terror, like something really bad's going to happen to you. Basically like you're being chased by someone that has intent to harm you. Our cue to leave was the get out in the EVP, right? With all the other tales of the smell and the cobwebs and the temperature changes. It's like, I guess it's what a deer would feel like when they see like a bear or something, just bolt, right? You don't look back. It's only happened a handful of times to me. I say that was one of the, I can count on one hand how many times I've had the, you know what, scared out of me, and that was one of them.
Derek, when that sulfur smell starts to come into play, you being a psychic medium, what is your take on hearing a story like that?
I've always learned anything with sulfur is relates to demonic, because it's deeper and darker from the other side. So it's very, very possible it could be, unless there is something that if someone had chewed a lot of charcoal for indigestion, it can smell like sulfur. But I would say if no one actually had done that, it's pretty well, because I've spoken to a lot of people that have done investigations for years, and anything that smells like sulfur, I learned it from the elders. Anything that smells like sulfur is more demonic. It's actually something really, really bad that wants to hurt you.
Now, can a spirit, because this is what I learned in talking with Elizabeth Anglin after this incident happened, is we learned the name of Willie, and in chatting about Willie with Elizabeth, she had stated that Willie was just kind of growing into his power on the other side, Derek. That he was kind of almost like half spirit and half ghost, if that makes any sense.
Well, they're both. There's no such thing as half a spirit and half a ghost. You're a ghost, you're a ghost. A spirit means one who's actually crossed into the light. A ghost is someone that actually has not crossed over or believes that they should stay. That's what I've been taught. So if they're saying they're half ghost, this is the same thing. There's no difference.
Well, this is what the ramifications were for me in that building, was the next time we went and did a tour, through Elizabeth, I was told to go and have a chat with Willie and apologize to him for the provocation. And we had a long chat session via Elizabeth, through Willie, and to me. So here we are having this trio of a psychic telephone conversation, as weird as that may sound. And Willie had stated that there was a number of things he didn't like. He didn't like the tour, although he understood the reason why we do the tour. He thinks that we're trying to get the ghosts to play, but he understands that we're also trying to raise money for the museum, and he understands that that money raised helps keep his home there. He also stated that he hated the technology that was around and really hated being provoked. And that's why he had attacked Mike's group. He didn't like cameras, didn't like technology, didn't want him in his section of the room. And he blamed me for it because I'm the guy who put the tour together.
Yep.
I'm the guy who got things started. So he was trying to get to me through everyone else. And it was funny because days before the tour, Mrs. SOR actually was woken up in the middle of the night, and all she could see was a pair of hands holding down her arms. She couldn't see anything else. It was like she was pinned. Almost like he knew.
Threatening you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
He was threatening you, letting you know that if you're going to keep on doing this, I'm going to hurt someone. That's what and he looks for the person closest to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you this. I ended up having, and one of the things that Willie wanted me to do, and I did it, is I went up and I had, before our tour, because in June, because this incident happened in May, before our tour in June, I went into that building, just me, it was me and Willie. There were 2 chairs upstairs, so I pulled both chairs and put them one in front of the other, and Willie had stated that he wanted a beer and a cigarette. So I brought him both. He still hasn't taken the bottle cap off the beer yet. He said through Elizabeth that one day he will take the bottle cap off and to leave the bottle cap open. So I had to apologize to him, and we came up with a game plan that we are allowed to take people into that room. However, there are no photographs to be taken. Nobody's allowed to touch the walls. Nobody's allowed to do anything in that room besides walk in, take a peek, and leave. The other side where Mary is, it's funny because through Elizabeth, I said to Willie, I said, do you want me to take the post house off of the tour? And Willie said, no, Mary would be unhappy. So here he is trying to keep his spirit girlfriend happy as well, as any good man would, trying to keep their partner happy. Because Mary loves the people. She loves to perform. She loves to be around, and it makes her day, or her month, I should say. So we now have some very strict rules, and actually as a committee, due to what happened that May, what we have had to do then is before every tour, I have to go put a beer and a cigarette in Willie's closet. He hides in there while the tour comes through. When we're in Mary's section, he stands in the doorway to watch over, so that way we are not bugging her in an adverse way. And he watches intently, watches very intently, and our tour guides, we've all felt him standing at the doorway into his room, watching what we are doing. And so we had to do that. The other thing, as part of the 108 committee that we've had to do, is because of that incident, is we've also had to say that if any other paranormal teams come up there to investigate, when they enter the post house, I have to be with them. Because we can no longer take a chance at Willie being provoked. So that's part of what we've had to do in order to protect people, because Willie is very serious about this. And Corey, I think you were there, or maybe you weren't, but one of the people who came on the June tour, her name is Tess. She walks with a cane, and Tess accidentally leaned against the wall in Willie's room. And I quickly said, oh, quick, not against the wall. And she goes, oh, no. And before she could apologize, she was hit with sickness. Absolutely felt sick and had to go outside immediately. So we had to get her out of the building ASAP in regards to that. That's how serious Willie is about getting to things. So, Mike, let me ask you this then. When you bring your Haunted Crew of Canada back up to the 108 site, how do you now go about knowing that you have this amazing ghost in Willie who is very proactive when it comes to action, but knowing that you probably can't use that room.
I'm okay with that. I would like to have a chat with Willie by myself if I'm allowed. Reach out, bring him a beer. I don't smoke. Maybe borrow smoke off you.
I don't smoke either.
Maybe borrow smoke off someone else. I don't know. I would like to have a chat with him, talk about that, make everything good.
All you gotta do is offer tobacco.
I have some of that. I have some like traditional smut like tobacco, and it's okay not to use the post house. We can tell it. We can talk about the story. We can stand outside and tell the stories of what has happened there and why we can't use it, and then respectfully use the rest of the site to try and have a more positive spin on the 100 Mile Ranch.
Got a few questions here in regards to this. Trip is asking in the Spreaker chat room, do we light the cigarette for him? No. No, we do not. We lie the cigarette down beside the beer. It's more of a tobacco offering, like Derek said. So that's what we do, because most men back then did smoke. So that's why we have that, and because the post house used to be a bar as well, that's why we bring the beer for them. And that beer...
Oh, I just got hit.
Oh, did you?
Okay. The ghost, and the man that's in the picture, the appearance in the picture on the staircase, is Jim McVie.
And you know what? We got a Jim in there as well.
Yeah, as Jim McVie, that is the wife's husband. It's him that's on the stairs. Agnes's husband.
Very interesting. Corey, did you not get a Jim?
Yes.
Did you guys not pick up a Jim in there?
Oh, yes. From quite a few years ago now, there's thought to be a Jim in there. Yes, that was one of the names.
So when you hear Derek's...
What he looks like?
No, well, we may have just learned what he looks like. But...
Yeah.
But does that surprise you? All of a sudden, Derek out of nowhere comes with the name Jim? And
no, because that was one of the names that is supposed to be in there is Jim. So that doesn't surprise me at all, actually.
Kind of cool. We're going to get over to the barn here momentarily. I just want to finish up with the post house here. So, in regards to Willie and Mike, yeah, I would allow you to have that private conversation with him. I would totally allow that. But with the beer, I just wanted to finish up with the whole beers thing. When I put that beer in the closet for Willie, literally nobody touches it. So at the end of the night, Willie wants me to pour it outside below where his closet would be against the wall. So nobody touches that beer. Nobody drinks that beer. I pour it against the right at the base of the building, and that way, you know, it's his, and nobody else has it. So it is a matter of respect to try and calm him down. Now, Galen has a question in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. Thank you, Galen. She is asking, how do you all know what Willie is saying? EVPs, videos, or do you use a medium? Kind of all three. The conversation we had with Willie was through medium Elizabeth Anglin. Derek has also picked him up in the past as well. And Robert asked, Dave, do you know what Willie's last name is? I had the name William Brannix jump into my mind. I do not know. I can try and figure that out for you. And Galen questioned, how does this two-way chat work? Via psychic medium. That's what we will go by. Anyhow, let's move over to the barn, because, Corey, I want you to start with this. Explain the situation that led to the photo that we put on Facebook.
Okay, well, first off, when we got there, hearing the story of the red eyes years ago from friends that aren't into paranormal stuff at all, I've always kind of been a little bit leery of it. I've been in there, let's say 5 or 6 times. Most of the first, say, 4 times felt fine. You know, it's a little creepy going in somewhere when it's dark. But that one time, it was, about 2-3 months ago when we went in there, and we were upstairs. I was scared, and I don't get scared. Like, I live in a haunted house. Not so much haunted anymore, thank goodness. I don't get scared. I'm not scared about being in the dark, you know, outside in the forest or anything like that. But I was scared, and I couldn't wait to get out of there. And we were upstairs, just about 20 feet from where the stairs are. There's a little, it's almost like a bandstand, you know, the little raised platform that we sit on sometimes. And it was right over there in the corner. And I was totally creeped out. And since I've been in there before, I haven't felt that, so that was good. But it's the only place on the whole property that I've actually been scared at. So when people were there, you know, I told people to ground themselves, put themselves in a little bubble, just in case, you know, we don't want people to get attachments onto them. We were downstairs first. We smelt, I don't even know that we talked about this, lots of male cologne. It wasn't scary downstairs, but it probably every, I'm just guessing, 30 seconds, every minute. I think we were down there for, well, especially the first group, I think we spent about 40 minutes downstairs. Probably every minute or so we were smelling men's cologne. And it was actually kind of funny because I was smelling the men, and people were saying, "Oh, I smell men's cologne," and I'm very skeptical and a bit of a debunker because I just don't want to believe everything. So I was actually smelling all the men. It's quite funny. We were all laughing, and nobody smelled. There was one fella in one of the groups. Eventually, like all 3 groups that night, every minute or so we would smell men's cologne for about maybe 5-10 seconds, and then it would just dissipate, and then it would come back again. So downstairs, and the K2 meter was just going crazy. It was lit up all the time. Previous to that night, when we would be in there, you know, we'd be in there for, you know, maybe 15 minutes downstairs, and maybe every 5 minutes, the K2 meter would go off, like, to the red. Somebody would go, "Oh, okay, well, you know, we're talking to somebody," but, like, totally serious. Like, every 30 seconds, that thing was going off to red. People were talking, and actually, I'd have to listen back to the EVPs. They were names. They were saying, "Oh, are you," because there's names. Jim was one of the names. We were asking names of who it was. So we ended up going upstairs, and because I look after seniors, that's my job. You know, I turn the lights on for people to walk up the stairs, and once the last person got up to the second flight of stairs, the corner, turn the light off, and then I'd follow up behind them. So we stood on the one part, and it's kind of hard to explain. When you go up to the second floor, there's like an area where you can stand, and you can walk down through the rooms, or you can walk up to the mezzanine, and you can walk across, and then you can walk back down to another room on the very end of the barn. And I don't know how long this barn is. It's like 100 feet, something like that, 120 feet.
It's way longer than that.
Something like that. Okay, so when we got up there, people were when we went into the barn too, I said to people, like, take multiple pictures, because then you have something to compare to. Like, if you just take one picture and there's something in the picture, you don't really have anything to compare it to, right? So I said, take multiple pictures, so that if something shows up in a picture and it wasn't in the picture taken, you know, half a second before, then you have something to look at, right? And so it's dark, and we all stay down below for a few minutes, and then people walk up to the mezzanine, and then we hung out there for a bit and walked down to the other side. And I was listening to the EVPs because I had the whole EVP going the whole time. And when we were at the second part of the lower part, past the mezzanine, there was a big commotion, and people were looking at the pictures. And somebody came up to me, Mrs. Bucher, and said, "Oh, look what I got!" And she showed me this picture. And I was like, "Man, like holy crap!" Like it's a little scary, right? Because we were in the dark up there. And she said, "I took it right here on the staircase." And I looked at the picture, and I said, "Well, it wasn't here because the staircase is going the opposite direction when you get to the back part." You know what I mean? Like when you're at the front part, Dave, you know, and it might be when you go into it, the staircase goes up from the right or from the left to the right. And so her picture, so when we're at the back part, the staircase actually goes the opposite direction, right? It goes from the right to the left. And so I said, well, that wasn't here. So they were looking through all the pictures. So her picture was taken when we first got upstairs because of the staircase. I don't, nobody saw anything like that. And somebody said, maybe it was somebody in your tour group, but there's nobody in our tour group that looked like that. Definitely not. I can't explain it. I know you've had some backlash because of the picture. If people don't want to believe the picture, it's quite okay. Well, we don't need to convince anybody that the picture is real, but, it was a real picture. Don't know who it is. But, I can't really can't say much about it. Just that the man is standing on the stairs.
It really is an amazing picture, and let's break that down a little further. Connie, who took the photo, literally came on the tour as a request from her friend. She was very skeptical, didn't believe in the paranormal, didn't believe in anything, but her friend was really into it and felt she would just tag along, so to speak. And one thing that we do on the tour is we promote a lot of photography. Just like Corey said, we want to make sure that, people are taking pictures. It's part of the experience as they are going through the event. And I have posted the pictures on Twitter. I have posted the pictures in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook if you want to check out those photos as well and give us your thoughts. Okay, so Connie was really a non-believer. And then this photo happened. And out of all the photos that I have seen from the 108, and I've seen pictures of the Shadow Man, I've seen other orbs and other anomalies, streaks of light, everything like that. I've never seen anything like that. Derek, when you look at the picture, what is your opinion of what you're seeing?
Well, this guy here, it looks like he's actually is partially bald at the top with his hair on the side of his head. And then when I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a look at this picture and see, I felt there was something connected here because the way the guy's wearing his coat, that looks like it's actually wearing a coat like it's actually in the wintertime because it looks like a fur collar on the edge. And then I thought, okay, that's around, late 1800s because I can tell because I do some of my research and see how it looks. It looks like his hand's on the railing as if he's about to climb upstairs, so to speak. But the interesting part is that he stopped and he's looking back at the person that took the picture. And that's rather rare, very, very rare. You don't see that very often.
That's a place where I felt really scared.
And I've been up that staircase myself.
A few months. Right when you get up the staircase. And that's where I was scared before.
That staircase was supposed to go all the way across the barn, and that's where the barn, you walk. They call it the catwalk.
Yeah.
Where you look down and see people dancing on the dance floor. That's quite interesting.
It's a really eerie photo. Like, the facial expression doesn't look overly happy.
It is. It doesn't. It looks kind of scary. And once I saw the picture,
Well, he's
I was
actually
okay the
looking
rest
very
of the night. But the next day, I was thinking, do I even want to go back there? I will go back there. But I was thinking, like, he looks a little menacing. Really.
I don't
And
like
I don't know,
looking at
like,
it.
He reminds me from those old movies during the early mid 1800s, where they look like the Undertakers. Yeah, no expression, cold, white skinned, top hat, that look.
See, to me, it looks like he's it looks like he's smirking at the camera. Number one,
yes,
but when
he
you
is smirking at the camera.
But when you zoom in on the photo, to me, his face looks like it's burnt. And this is why I was wondering, because that barn was built in tribute to a person who died in World War I was wondering if it could actually be him, or the spirit of, because this barn was built in tribute for him. Because in World War I, that's when we first learned through history that they were testing out a lot of chemical weapons. The Germans were. And the Canadians were running, and the Americans as well, were running right into the mustard gas and things like that. And I'm wondering if it was wartime, because his face looks burned. I'm wondering if maybe, just maybe, it is him, because we do know that the tribute, and the name is, I keep forgetting the name, and I apologize, on who the barn was built for. But if he would have died during World War I, there's a good chance that he would have, maybe been burnt or blown to smithereens or disfigured a little bit due to maybe a bomb, maybe a bullet, maybe the mustard gas and the chemical weapons. Derek, what do you think?
No. I strongly feel that he relates to the earlier story during the mid 1800s. Because the way he appears, I've seen some of the time period clothing already at Barkerville, for example. They actually had a lot of people wear time period clothing, and I've seen a coat just like that, late 1800s. And I know what the coat looks like, and this one looks like just exactly like it. So I'm really strongly feel that either he is that character, Agnes McPhee's husband, or a minor. One of the two.
I agree. I think he's period. I think he's from the late 1800s. I think he's from that area.
Yeah.
Could very well be. Could very well be.
Yeah, and Dave, it's funny that you said smirk on his face, because that's what I thought when I'm looking at it. Like, he has this look on his face like, oh, yeah, here I am, look at me. And I think it was because we had that tour there. We had 47 people, and we had people, supporting, raising money. And it's like, you want to see something tonight? I'm going to show you something tonight. And that's what I think.
You got to remember, too, back in the late 1800s, the gold miners were protecting their gold, and they had their territorial. Plus, when they traveled, they didn't trust nobody for what they mined. And a lot of these men were reclusive. They weren't good looking. So this guy
yeah,
here,
they've been over there for years, right?
A lot of these guys, they suffer through the summers and colds and many viruses and things that happened. So they actually worked themselves through to get what they wanted. And this guy here looks like he's protecting something. Like what Dave says, when he's telling them, don't touch that wall, why can't anybody touch that wall? That means that he hid gold behind that wall. He's got a hidden room in there.
Are you saying you think that's Willie?
Oh, anything's possible. Or he knows of the story. He doesn't want nobody to come close to whatever they were trying to protect. Now, also, a lot of women that were taken got pregnant, and sometimes the babies were placed into the wall. They were unborn, forced to be unborn, wrapped up and put into walls. And that could have been his responsibility to hide them behind the walls. Think about that.
No.
A lot of times Spirit does not want you to know the truth. Spirit does not, not Spirit. These characters that are crossed over, they try their darndest to protect the history of what they had done wrong. They think they've done wrong. And they'll keep it as long as possible to protect it, even in vain of death. Even if they feel they have to go to hell, but that's because they create their own hell. And they put themselves there. So then we got to deal with it. We have to confront them about it and find out why. And a lot of times they don't want to tell you why. But if you know the truth and you try to draw it out of them, you'll find out, because if you get too close to knowing the truth and you say it out loud to them, they will attack you. They will hurt you.
Why do you think he showed up in that photo, Derek? Out of all the times that we've done the tour, we've never run into him. Why do you think it was then and now?
Because you had too many people and you're getting too close to what he was hiding. That's why. You're being tested. And he's checking you out. You basically said, okay, in respect to, I'll make sure that you are taken care of. So you're abiding by his wishes. If you didn't, if you didn't have your wife with you and you're a single man, he couldn't have hurt you because he's got nothing to go after. And he knows where you live because he followed to your home. And you didn't say out loud that you're not welcome in the home of my home. They will walk right in because you didn't say anything to them by saying, don't follow me home, you all stay here. And so what happens after investigation? I always tell people, I remind everybody, you did tell them, don't follow me home. You're not allowed to follow me home, you stay where you belong. And if they followed you home, they come into your home and they torment you.
Corey Gale is asking, what did the cologne smell like?
Oh, it was the same cologne all night. We had 3 groups come in. It was a, I don't even know. I don't know men's cologne very well, so I can't identify it. It was sweet smelling, and like I said, when we were in there, I was smelling the men, and it was funny. I listened to the EVP later, and we were all giggling and laughing because I was like, "Excuse me, can I smell you?" And we were all laughing during that time because, like I say, I'm kind of skeptical, and I was smelling it, but I was like, "Well, is it this man that's standing here?" And there was one man that had some cologne on. It wasn't the same cologne in one of the groups, and there was a woman that had some perfume. So I really think that, the posters are made up for this year, but we need to write on the posters, no cologne for men and or women, because it was very strong smelling. And it wasn't, and I was thinking, people are imagining this, but no, I smelled it many, many times. There was also cigarette smoke. That people, Derek, that people were smelling. I didn't smell a cigarette smoke. There's one time I thought I caught a little whiff of it, But I can't say that I smelt it. But all three groups, people were saying that they smelled cigarette smoke too.
And we had that night people saying that it smelled like cigarette smoke inside the post house as well. So that was very intriguing. Very intriguing.
And we've never, Dave, all the times that I've been there with you, it's maybe only been 4 times, and I was with Jim the other time. Never smelled cologne, never smelled cigarette smoke, but it was definite. Like I said, like every couple of minutes, every minute or so, we would smell it. Like, and it was just like, I think it was I think it was because we were doing the fundraiser. Like, this is an important thing. We wanted to raise money, and they were like, okay, you're here. Okay, we're going to put on a show for you.
I've smelt snuff and cigar smoke before at 108 Mile. I smelt snuff by the old blacksmith area, and then the cigar smoke in the gentleman's section of the actual house.
Well, you know what? It's very interesting that, that photograph has brought a number of comments. I would say the majority of comments that we had were extremely positive. There were some skeptical people, which I would be very, very, delighted with, who were asking if we could go retest the area. We have not had an opportunity to go retest the area just since then. We're going to try for not this weekend, but the following weekend to try and get in there to see. Yeah, oh, you got questers.
That's the quest, and so do you. We have the quest this weekend.
Yeah. We'll try our best. Maybe on the Sunday night. I don't know. We'll figure something out. We'll definitely figure something out, but we do have to get back in there. We haven't had a chance to test things out since that night. Schedules and, I can't really go in there during the week because I got to be here with all of you, but it's one of those things where we have to try and get back in there to do some further testing. But some of the comments that we got off of this, they were downright, I don't want to say rude, because I don't think any of them were really rude, but it's amazing how many armchair debunkers there are in front of their computer. I had a couple people say we put a cardboard cutout up there, or that we took a picture. We had somebody...
Serious?
Yeah, we had someone say that we put someone in a mask and took the photo. We had one person...
So that means actually, sorry, Dave, that means that they think it's realistic looking. Because
well, yes,
if they really believe that there's somebody there and not just a mist.
Well, the most interesting comment that I had was somebody said that there was an owl perched up there. Now, I don't think looking at that picture that it looks anything like an owl. If anybody has seen an owl before and seen this picture, it doesn't look anything like an owl. But it's amazing how many people, and I shouldn't say it's amazing how many people, that's wrong. But there were a number of people who said, we need more evidence before we go in there and check it out again. And I said to one person, sorry, Derek, I said, well, considering I'm putting my show's reputation and my reputation on the line, I am 100% authenticating it. And he basically...
Me too.
And this person actually said, well, who are you to authenticate it? He goes, in fact, you sound that just makes you sound like you are one of the rest of the people out there who is trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. And it was on.
So maybe we should invite these people to come up here, and we'll take them through the barn and just see what happens. Who knows?
Dave, as a paranormal investigator that's investigated there approximately 5 times, I think your evidence is legit. So there.
Well, it is. I certainly, they're basically calling me a liar. I was the one that took the people through the barn. I certainly didn't put up a cardboard cutout.
No,
we didn't have an owl in there. Like,
No.
I'm not a BSer, and anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a liar. I'm more of a debunker than anything, and it's a legitimate picture. There's nothing more I can say. People who don't want to believe it, totally fine. I don't really care.
And I'm the same way. I go to, like, rule out a piece of paranormal evidence, video, photo, or even audio before thinking, well, no, that's something. Like, I've looked at this picture a ton of times. I've zoomed it in. I've brightened it. I've grayscaled it. And it's not a reflection. It's not a cardboard cutout, as someone else apparently thinks it is. It's an entity walking up the stairs. Plain and simple. That's what it is.
Yeah, and the woman that took the picture, I can't even call her Connie, because to me she's Mrs. Bucher. She's a school teacher in our town and has been for many years, so I can't even call her Connie. Mrs. Bucher took the picture. Mrs. Bucher's not going to lie. She didn't run up and put a cardboard cutout.
Dave,
and take the picture when there were 17 other people standing around her. So, I'm just guessing that Dave, the people that I don't even know who debunked it, I'm guessing these people don't really know you. Do they? I don't know.
Well, it's funny because the people who were doing the debunking, for the most part, so to speak, you could tell that they have probably never even heard the radio show, they weren't even reading the comments. I don't know how many times I had to actually repeat myself to people that weren't reading the previous comments. But the person who is going to remain nameless, his name is Chad, and that's as far as I'll go. He actually erased all of his comments and my reaction to it. So you won't get to read that. But what you will get to do is read some of the other ones. The cardboard cutout, I think, is my favorite, as to the fact of somebody calling out my reputation, that it's stupid for me to put it on a line on a picture I can't prove, which, well, that's kind of why I put my reputation on the line, because I know Corey. I know the school teacher's story, Connie Bucher, or Mrs. Bucher. And I know the barn. And I have no problem putting my reputation on the line that photo is 100% authentic. But it's always simple, because the people who were commenting negatively, you never see them around the radio show. You never see them in the chat rooms. They never respond to anything that we type in on Twitter or on Facebook as SOR. It's just the way it goes. We move on. We thicken our skin. And we go from there. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We will be more Spaced Out Radio with Ghosts of the Great White North right after this.
We're getting strange on Saturday nights. Hi there, this is Dave Cruz, and each Saturday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I will take you on a tour of the weird and obtuse on Spaced Out Saturdays, from aliens to Sasquatch and every tinfoil hat in between. We got you covered. Join us at spacedoutradio.com for Spaced Out Saturdays. See you there.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Would you like someone you can trust to look into it? We have just the place. The SOR Sightlines Report is the place for you to find answers. Whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, Dogman, ghosts, aliens, or anything strange, the Sightlines Report will get you connected with one of our expert researchers to find out what's going on. All of your personal information is kept 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report, a place for you to find the answers you need. Only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4COP. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries, so tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
A child grew up too fast, went running wild. Now we don't know who to pray to anymore.
Welcome back for the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you along for the ride. Thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow night on the program, we get a little rebellious. Jamie Sexton from Rebel Planet News comes on in. We're going to talk everything from modern-day conspiracy to what's happening in the news as well. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. Great to have you with us as well. We are also live on KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listeners. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Malneurophrenia. Malneurophrenia is your password. Make sure you send them, make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect with me live during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. We are also having a live chat each and every night in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. I highly suggest you sign up for that as well. We're on Instagram, Dave Scott, SORs, and you can listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States, TalkStream Live, tune in, and subscribe and download our shows from iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. You can read The Encounter online, rock to some Bumblefoot, watch some great video footage from UFO seekers and Contact TV, and more. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. Tonight is the third Wednesday of the month. We have our feature called Ghosts of the Great White North. Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada is here, along with his teammate Derek White, Sky Clown. And from my tour team, we have Corey Greaves. And we're talking about the heritage site where I do my monthly tour. You guys have heard me talk about it quite a bit on this show. And tonight we're getting into the ghosts. And we're talking about, in the last hour, of the ghosts that are running around the barn that led to this amazing picture that we got. Corey was in the barn that night. Now, Corey, you caught a couple of EVPs from that night. One that said, "I'm in history." Do you want to break that down?
That was the second one. So I think it was August. It was August's tour that we did. And Carrie was just saying out loud, she said, well, I know that I had a different piece of equipment before, and now I have this new one. So if you're here and you want to talk into it, you have to talk into the blue light. And I don't know, I said this to a couple of her friends, telling them the voice I heard, and they didn't know the name, Emma Jean Coco. And so a lot of us are a little bit older, so we kind of know that name, and she was an actress. And that's what the voice reminds me of. She has a very unique voice. And so when Carrie says this, she says you need to speak into the blue light. And you can hear her saying, I believe that she says, "Oh, hello, wow," in this kind of a crazy, kind of Emma Jean Coco voice. And then,
well, let's play that one for our audience first. Hold on, here we go.
Okay, am I going to hear it?
No, you're not going to be able to hear it, unfortunately.
Okay. I think she says that what I said.
Okay, here it is for our audience.
You're used to using the one that flashes all the pretty colors. Oh, wow.
So that one was a little bit quiet. We're going to play it again. So make sure you turn your volumes up for this one. Here we go again. It's 10 seconds long.
You're used to using the one that flashes all the pretty colors.
Definitely hear "Oh Hello" well in there, Corey.
And then I'm pretty sure she says "wow" after that. Oh, and do you know who Emma Jean Coco is?
No, not a clue.
A lot of people don't. She's an old actress, passed away many years ago now. Kind of that same crazy voice, very distinguishable voice, I'll say.
Well, I think it was fantastic. Let's get to your next one, where it says "I'm in history."
Okay,
Where was that one taken?
So it was about a week after we did the August one. Remember, we were out there, and it was just going to be us, and then there was the tourists that were parked outside from
That's right, yes.
California, and they were driving to Alaska, or they were driving back to California. And they asked if they could come and just be part of our tour going through there. And so I don't even know where we took it, which place we were in, but I believe it's the same woman's voice. And what happened in that one, geez, I don't even remember, because I'm just, when people were talking, and unfortunately we were all talking, and so as soon as I turned on my recorder, so it's right at the very beginning of it, you can hear her saying, I was in his something, like it's a two-syllable word, I believe, and then she says another word. And she might have said something else, I don't know, but I'm sure she says, I was in his blah, 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 something. So I actually sent the EVP to Mike Morin about a week ago, because I heard that he has maybe the capability of separating the voices, because we were talking, so you can't actually hear the rest of what she was saying, unfortunately. But the same woman, which is really interesting to get the same woman 2 different times. It'd be really interesting to find out who she is and what she's saying. So yeah, if you want to play that.
Right. Let's play this one.
I can't hear it, but
this is, we know. Okay, hold on.
You were on the train.
So it's right at the beginning, everyone. I want you to listen to it again.
You were on the train.
And I'll play it one more time. Right at the beginning, it sounds like she's saying, I am history.
You were on the train.
That is a fantastic, clear one.
So what do you think she says? I can't hear it now, obviously. I was in history, or I am? You said I am. I thought she said I was in history, but
I think she says I'm in history.
I'm in history, but she's saying something else, like I'm in history books, or I'm in. So I want to know what she says. So I'm hoping somebody can separate the voices and get our voices out of there to actually hear what she's saying.
Definitely.
Maybe that is Agnes McVie, or maybe that is somebody,
know.
Another character in the 108 Heritage story.
Absolutely. Tracy believes I thought she said, I am missing the train. So.
Oh.
And
okay, well, I'd like to hear, I'd love to hear what people think, and then I can listen back to it.
Kit Kat believes that it says, I am in history with hands up.
Oh, I can't even hear the rest of that. All I can hear is I am in history, and then with hands up.
And by the way, we do want to thank Haunted Crew of Canada's Jeff Webster, their technical master, for getting those clips ready for tonight on a rush to get them ready for the show. So thank you so much, Jeff, for doing that. I really do appreciate that.
I believe that's the same woman. Do people feel that when they hear that?
I think so. I think it's the same woman.
Emma Jean Coco-ish. if you know who she is, and apparently you don't.
I don't. All right. Let's get to a couple questions here. Gail says, to believe the picture is authentic requires a huge paradigm shift for many people. Do you think it's worth your time trying to convince people it's real? I'm not trying to convince people.
I don't need to convince anybody it's real. The picture that was taken that night, believe it or not.
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm making it personal or anything like that, but people who listen to SOR on a nightly basis or once a week or once every couple weeks, I think they know well enough that I would never pull the wool over their eyes. You know what I'm saying? I think they are.
Yeah.
And I think for me, when I have people questioning, even though I shouldn't take it personally, in a way I kind of did. And that's my bad for doing that?
It's not your bad. I've been feeling the same way because at first when you said that, I had no idea people were questioning it. And I laughed. And I still laugh. But it's like I'm taking it a little bit personal, although keep the lid on my bucket because I don't care if people take. But I'm not going to lie about that. We're not setting stuff up. Like we're just taking people in there. So, and then people that know me would know that, I wouldn't do something like that. It's ridiculous, really. So, but yes, I have been actually taking it a tiny bit personal. If, nobody's, I don't really care. But we're not lying about this. It was a picture, believe it or not, right? Mm-hmm. So that's all you can say. People are just, and I think the people, and I don't know who, like you said, people are debunking it or whatever. I haven't seen any names go on your Facebook or anything like that. So I would just guess that these are people just trying to stir up crap. Excuse my
They're
language.
hating on it because they didn't take the photo.
Mm-hmm.
So how can it be real if they didn't take the photo, right?
Exactly it. But we are going to investigate it a little bit more. Derek, I got a question for you, and Mike, you can follow up as well. Tracy in Nanaimo is asking, and she'll be coming down to the Paracon this weekend at the Forest Moon Paracon this Saturday in Concrete, Washington. So thank you for coming on down, Tracy. She says, Derek, and we'll get you to answer this first. What exactly do we think the apparitions are made of? Light, apparently, but how?
Well, there's different varieties of apparitions, so it's not what you call light. Apparitions are depends on what it is. If you're looking at someone who's actually passed away, past a natural passing, or possibly tragedy, and they chose to stick around. Once in a while, people talk about someone with a blue-colored light in their appearance or white light their appearance. That question itself, it's rather difficult to differentiate the difference between light and how spirits make their appearance. They will use as much energy, and basically what it is energy. They'll use as much energy as possible to make their appearance. That's why they need people like us. And there's so many people in that room, in that building. That's why this spirit was able to come forth, because he used their energy to make his appearance. It's not always that easy for a ghost to even appear to you unless they really want to. They don't just show up because they do it to everybody. They show up because they want to. And they're letting you know how they feel. And if they like the approach of one person wanting to take a picture, that person will say, okay, well, they chose that teacher, then exactly that's what they want. Then this ghost actually knew probably about this teacher and that she is a teacher, because they do wander around different locations. They don't just stick around on the land. They could probably have a little walk through the school and see children. So, maybe this ghost actually was quite fond of women, and he wanted to make the appearance, or he was quite fond of children, not in a bad way, but like to see children around, so he just makes an appearance. But there's different ways. but it's not always light. But we are made of light, correct? But there are times that we choose how we use our energy to make the appearance into this physical world.
Mike, do you think spirits are made of light?
I don't think spirits are made of light. I think they're made of energy, which produces light. I think they obtain energy from us, from our gear, because like we use something called an EM pump, which shoots out electromagnetic energy in hopes to feed a spirit energy, which in turn makes them. I've seen one really good full body apparition in my time on a boat called the SS Sycamoose. I saw the captain, and he appeared to look like a light, but I think that is just the energy that they gather, so they kind of, as cheesy as it sounds, illuminate themselves so they can be seen. So I think the light is the energy, and that's what they're made up of.
Corey, you wanted to make mention of about something?
Yeah. No, I was going to ask Derek, you're quite intuitive. On the tour that night, we had 3 groups. There were, in 2 of the groups, there was a person in each group that said, "What's in that room?" And they were totally freaked out. What's in that room? There's something really negative in that room. So I went and looked, and it was the back staircase, which I've never been up. So remember, Dave, when I said, or Derek, Mike, you also know when you walk along the boardwalk to the very last room, when you walk down on the 2nd floor, I believe, well, I saw the staircase. I don't know if it was open or not. I didn't go up there. But it was the back staircase going up to the back portion of the 2nd floor. And there were 2 people in different groups that looked in that room and were totally freaked out and said there was something really negative in that room. And I went and looked, and I said, I don't know. It was dark. I wasn't going to walk in there at that point. But what do you feel about that?
For me?
I got caught thinking there. I mean, it could be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just got to get...
really negative in there?
I don't hear anything negative. Go ahead, Derek.
My friend said they saw red eyes in there, which isn't a good sign. That was probably 10 years ago now, but is there a negative in that barn?
Hey, Dave?
Oh, yeah. Anything could be negative. It could be, and not just negative. See, here's a mistake that most people think. Are things always evil? Is it always negative? What it really is, a spirit or a ghost marks their territory. It's like a dog. Okay? They mark a territory. Don't cross this line. If you come into this territory, then you're going to regret it. So they send out an energy of negativity, an energy of anger. And the first thing you think is, they're angry. They're going to come after us. I don't want to walk in. We're so paranoid of the dark. We become so commonly fearful of walking into the dark. And the first thing we look for is, are there any eyes that look back at us? And there are animals that do come in the room once in a while and even into an empty building. There was a time that I actually walked into a barn one time and I thought, there's a pair of eyes. And from a distance, I found out later it was a raccoon. And but you don't think about it. First of all, you think you're looking for a spirit. You're not looking for animals. And they make their presence known inside as well. They're not going to say nothing. They're not going to growl. They're not going to say anything to you. They're just looking at you, staring back, because your light reflects back at them. And if their eyes are showing you red, doesn't mean it's demonic. It just means that that's how they appear in the reflective light. If it is a negative, that's just warning you. If you dare to walk in this room, prepare for the consequence. And we are taking chances, walking into an unknown room, unknown building, unknown sometimes, and not every time. Mike can tell you, we've gone to locations that hardly anybody ever explores anymore. And these are haunted locations. Hardly a person will explore. And because it's not advertised in any newspaper or magazine, but we go there anyways to see if it's haunted. When we do go to these places, not everybody walks in there. You're not going to get hundreds of people using this building every day. And when time goes by, these buildings get older, these places get older, time starts to reflect the past. And we are caught up in the past. So we're looking for what makes everything click, sound effects, you name it, even words, thoughts, talking. You're going to feel the spider web feeling. You're going to feel those cobwebs are sticking your hand out, and it feels like you're in cobwebs. But when you turn on the light, there's no cobweb. And because ghosts, spirits have a way of making you think it's a cobweb. That's where one of the guys that we worked with one time, he got attacked by that very same cobweb and scratched him. And the thing is that there are times that we push ourselves in through the door. We either take the chance of going in, or we put the fear in ourselves thinking, I don't want to go in there because. We get so Hollywoodized so much, and we get paranoid. We get so paranormally scared from watching TV that we have to start to separate ourselves from that and start looking for logic at first and listen to what we hear and what we see, and then we evaluate from what we get from how we see it through our own eyes, even our cameras.
Derek, I got a quick question for you from Dawn, and she is saying, what are the consequences?
Consequences can be, they can hurt you, they can attack you, they can actually make you feel lethargic, they will give you migraines, they sometimes can run right through you. Many times I've actually had ghosts walking through my body and take me over. There are times that they'll walk, and Mike can vouch for that because he's seen it. They walk right through my back and out to the front and scare the living hell out of you. And you just don't expect it. And they can attack. Sometimes they'll push you over. They have a tendency of throwing something at you. Could be rock, stones, sticks, you name it, whatever it's available, and they'll drop something off. Maybe if there's something sitting on a shelf somewhere, they'll try and knock it over, break glass, make things swing, lights, you name it. They're going to try and get your attention to scare the living heck out of you, or even sometimes make you feel so sick that you want to throw up. And that's happened to Mike in one of our last investigations. We challenged that one ghost that was in one of the rooms, and it went after him. It was stubborn, and Mike was stubborn. And these two stubborn people, here's a ghost and Mike, so stubborn, and it went after him, and Mike got so sick he ran outside and threw up. He had no control over it because he was trying to make Mike feel that he was more powerful than he was. I got so pissed off at that ghost, and I said, who in the hell do you think you are? Like, I was mad. You can see when you see the recording. I was mad.
Jesus, you should hear the EVPs. You should hear the growls from that last location. Just listening to them makes me relive my puking.
Like, I was mad. I know what it's like to get attacked, and I know it's like what they try to do, but I get upset. And when they start hurting my partners, I go after them. And I won't take no crap. That's what's so interesting for me. I get really upset. Even the girl that was in front of me, where she was walking out front of me and the ghost pushed her right into me. And literally she was pushed hard. And I grabbed her, or else she would have fallen right into the floor right in front of Mike's feet. We had one major angry ghost. Oh, he was so angry. He wanted to hurt people. But because we are wanting to investigate the truth, we want to tell the story. Sometimes they don't want you to know the story. they want to keep it quiet, and so their way of doing it is just to scare you away. So being an investigator, you have your challenges.
Mike, you wanted to ask me a question a little bit earlier on, or make a comment.
I don't remember now. That you're gone.
All right. Well, you know, you are a mall cop, so that's all that matters.
You're a mall cop.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate that. Anyhow, the main house of the building, and we're going to spend this next little bit here because we only got about 27 minutes left in the show, is the 105 house, otherwise known as the Monocle House, here in town. It was moved from 105 Mile up to the 108 Mile Ranch a number of years ago to be the main house of the area. Now, we know of a number of spirits that have been going on in there. The main spirit has been a little girl named Emily. Carrie and her friends, on the first tour that we did this year in April, they were doing an EVP session trying to get Emily to speak, which they did. But they actually also got an EVP of a cat meowing. So we know there's a cat in the house. We have also, in the ladies' lounge on the downstairs floor, have figured out the name of the lady there. She goes by Lady Evelyn. In the men's lounge, we're a little stumped at what could be in there. And Carrie and I are actually leaning towards the fact that it might be the spirit of the grizzly bear whose hide lies on the floor. That's still up for debate. We also know there is a gentleman upstairs who does not communicate with me at all. However, when Carrie or any other females go in there, they get action. He likes to hit on the girls. So, Mike, take us through the house, if you don't mind.
Well, you go through the front door. To the right is the right the gentleman's room, or is that more of the?
That's the gentleman's room. Yes.
Okay. It's kind of unique. It's pretty rustic and frontier. There's a giant bear rug. Tons of period. None of the furniture in there is original, correct?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's all been added through. Oh, I do have to add this story because Carrie cannot join us tonight. But here's an interesting story about the men's lounge. Carrie accidentally tripped on the bear's head. And when she tripped on the bear's head, the K2 meter went absolutely haywire. And she had to apologize to the bear. She had to apologize to the bear. I think that's funny. So go ahead, Mike.
When last time I was there, I caught myself petting the bear while doing the EVP session. It's a unique house. It's period. All of in my opinion, I think a lot of the objects in there hold energy or haunt factor. I'm specifically drawn to, you know, when you go up the stairs to the right, the first door on your left. I put a picture of it. It's the red building in this thread. That's the building Dave's talking about. When you go upstairs to the right, first door on your left, I think that was one of the ladies' rooms, not as in washroom, as in I think bedroom or dress room. There's a black dress in there that gives me the absolute creeps. I don't know if that's a funeral dress or if that was somebody's dress where they passed away in. But in that entire property, that's probably the third most uneasy area for me. To go post office, barn, that.
Carrie is saying that the furniture is imported from Germany from the Tingleys, who actually used to live in the house.
That's unique. So then it holds actual connect the dot value to the house with the furniture. So maybe those guys are the ones inhabiting the house. I remember you and I. So the house is also kind of cut in half and walled up. and on the other house side, that's where the caretaker lives. I remember Dave and I were doing a tour through the caretaker area, and we heard the cat in there. Or is that with... No, that's where the little girl was touching the K2.
Yes. The cat seems to hang out a lot up near the little girl's room.
I think I still have video footage of you with my K2, and I had the GoPro on you when you kept getting hits on the K when you were asking questions to the little girl. That was some pretty good footage.
But here's an interesting question, and Derek, I'm curious to get your response to this. The little girl used to be very active to me. And now she does not seem to come around me at all. I haven't done anything to upset her. I've promoted her. I talk very highly of her, try and keep that level of respect going. Yet when Carrie walks in there, that little girl is all over Carrie. What would constitute a change like that?
Girls will be girls. And then there's a man. And he goes, and she may like you for a while, and then all of a sudden, no, I'm bored of you. I want to play with a girl. So it's because it's because you're a man, not a little girl. It's playtime. So if you go in there next time bring yourself a ball or a toy to play with and leave it in the middle of the room and see what happens.
Ah, see, Carrie brings a doll.
Yep.
So I got to bring a toy.
You got to bring a toy.
I gotta win her over from Carrie.
Yep, you got to do it.
It's on, Carrie. I know you're listening. It's on now. Well, that's what we will try and do. What do you think, though, about the idea that the spirit of the grizzly bear may still be in the men's lounge? Derek?
That I would believe, because a lot of us people that are Aboriginal, I carry a bear claw, a polar bear claw with my medicine. As my medicine that protects me. So yeah, the whole. I do have myself at home. I actually, like I said, I do some taxidermy myself, and I do have a baby grizzly bear that we use for display in our work with our Métis Museum. So, and this bear is over 100 years old, but I always respect it for what it is because it was living being. It wasn't just a statue. So yes, it's the spirit of this bear still exists because it's still around, and most likely the person that took its life admired the bear for what it is, and so if it's being there, and if no one's, it likes, again, you can actually, if Mike's stroking the bear because he was having a bear talk, like he's enjoying the company of animal, because bear looks like dogs, and Mike's got dogs, so that makes a whole lot of sense.
Hey Dave, I remember what I wanted to say to you.
Sure.
So with our team, we have 3 new cameras on top of the ones we originally had. I would like some time in the barn next time I'm up there with you, and we can try 5 different cameras. 3 are different. 3 are new. 3 are IR cameras, but all different shades of IR. Then there's a really good full spectrum camera, as well as a 4K GoPro that we have. And we have all new upgraded IR and full spectrum lighting. So I'm thinking we might be able to catch your guy again.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. So
I think we should go into the back staircase, or you should go into the back staircase.
I have no problem doing that. The barn doesn't scare me. The only time I have been scared of the barn was back in April. We had left the light on at the front staircase to go upstairs, and when I was locking up the building, I had to go turn the light off. So as I'm opening the door, and I know everybody's out there, but I said, hello, it's just me. I'm locking everything up now, so if there's anybody left in here or went back in here, we got to get going. And as I'm walking towards where the light switch is, which is right by the stairway to go up, I hear the pitter-patter of running towards the stairwell. And I knew there was nobody in there. I absolutely knew there was nobody in there. And so I've never moved so fast in my life to turn that light off and get that door closed and lock that sucker up as quickly as I could. That one scared me. When you hear the pitter-patter of feet running up above us.
See, the last time I was in the barn, we heard footsteps on that little catwalk, but we kind of, for some reason, overlooked it. I think because we were tired. But no, I think the barn upstairs is very, very active. And I want to spend a lot of time up there next time. Because usually the barn is the last stop of my train when I'm there, and I'm bagged and all my gear's dying, so it's always a rush.
Well, maybe
what
next...
I do recommend is to bring some fiddle music with you. Not a guitar, fiddle music with you. Record fiddle music, because back in the 1850s, 60s, they played the fiddle. And you'll get a lot of attention.
Remember we did that the first time we went up there? I had some old school honky-tonk music where we did that.
Yeah. I played the music, and the K2 meter was going nuts.
Somebody there? Somebody accidentally hang up?
Nope.
Nope, I'm here.
Sounded like somebody dropped their phone. Anybody drop their phone?
No,
Right?
I'm muted because you yell at me.
Yes. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry, go ahead, Derek.
I was saying that we and the K2 meter. We mentioned about we had the K2 meter on, and we got a lot of hits. Like it hit when they're playing the music. We asked them the question: do you like fiddle music? Then they'll start showing up. They start gathering around you. People forget that years ago when I was getting into paranormal investigating back in the 80s, we used to bring recorded cassettes and just play music softly to draw them in, to get their attention. And for some reason, everybody stopped doing it. Like later on through the years, nobody ever played music anymore. They don't use music as an intro. To say, we're here, what kind of music do you like? And because you want to get the K2 meter to get their attention, or whatever they can do. So I think it's a great idea if we try it sometime.
So did you guys ever smell men's cologne in there?
Yeah, there's one there called Corral Number 5, Essence of Stockyard.
I called it the Métis Musk.
Yeah.
Did you really smell it in there though? I'm serious.
No, I didn't.
Okay, because I have never smelled it until this last time. And
what
like
I did smell was a lot of manure. I smelled a lot of manure, and there's no living horses in there. I could smell as if the manure was fresh. And Ken said there's no horses, and they used to use the barn for horses. And he says, but it's been like 20 years, so how I can smell? I could smell fresh manure. I'm a farm kid, so I just be on the farm. I know what it is about manure, but it smelled like it was fresh manure. So to me, that's telling me that there were horses around. But men do try to. They will put on cologne for you if there's women coming in the room. They'll use a scent.
I think the majority of the people that night in all the groups were women, so maybe that's why. But definitely.
Well, what I do prefer, everybody is get people have them not to bring in wear any cologne when they go into the investigation, so they can make a difference.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, Dave. We need to specify no colognes, no perfumes. So I'll have to stop, so I don't have to smell all the men, because I did. I was smelling all the guys saying, I smell you.
Yeah, if they question you why, having a shower, fine. But if they question you why, just say it's because we don't want to smell your cologne while we're investigating, because it can distract spirits, because spirits will actually use their scents and smells, so we can actually tell the difference.
Well, wasn't that area used as and still as like a dancing area? Maybe the spirits are just musking themselves up for the ladies because that's what you do.
No, we didn't. Yeah, no, we didn't smell it upstairs at all. It was downstairs in the paddock area. Didn't smell it at all upstairs. It was downstairs where the horses were.
Do you know what the women used to wear? Two types of colognes or perfumes back in the 1850s, 60s. You know what kind they used to use? They used to use rose water to make a cologne behind their ears, and the second one was actually muskrat. They used to trap the muskrats and use the musk oil from the muskrat to make into their own perfumes.
I don't know what either of those smell like.
Well, you ever smelled musk before? A musk oil?
Yeah.
That's exactly what you would smell.
Okay, it wasn't that at all. It was
if you could,
a nice smelling man.
If you stand next to Dave, I said musk, not must.
One area we haven't talked about was the blacksmith shop, and I've investigated that one a few times. I found that one kind of eerie and uneasy, very not welcomed. Do you remember that one, Derek? The blacksmith? I know Ken didn't like it in there. He left.
The crazy part of it, well, yeah, I was in there, but I don't remember feeling unsettled. In fact, I felt really comfortable in there. The only part that I didn't care too much about was was that the same place that had the two wagons in there? No, that was a different place.
No, it was it had paddocks in there. I think it used to be a barn turned into a blacksmith.
Oh, yeah. You know
the
what?
one right beside the church.
That was that one, right. I remember that one. I never felt really uneasy in that one. It was pretty easy for me. I know you didn't feel comfortable with it. You kept on feeling really edgy. You kept on saying, I want to get out of here. I got to get out of here. I don't know why I got to leave.
I'm always edgy on investigations.
Yeah, well, you forget your coffee before you get in there.
Truth.
Well,
Dave,
the blacksmith. We haven't opened up the blacksmith shop yet. We're planning on it. The problem that we have with the blacksmith shop is we haven't cleared it of birds yet. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. But the goal is to try and get the birds out of there because the swallows have kind of nested up in there. And when the swallows nest up, it makes a lot of noise, number one. But number two, it leaves a lot of mess with their bird droppings because they really don't care where they defecate. So there's a big mess in there that needs to be cleaned up. But I do eventually want to open it up for the tour. It is a very small building, but what intrigues me is I remember when you guys investigated in there originally that there is an old gas lantern in there that hangs from one of the wood beams, and it was swaying on you guys, if you recall that.
Yeah. But
I
then
do
again,
recall that
you
now.
think it's actually could be the wind.
We did technically have all the barn doors closed. I don't know if one would get in there. And I remember hearing something being clanged or thrown. We couldn't tell exactly what it was, but it is recorded when we were doing an EPP session. I also have a cool fact about that blacksmith barn, Dave. You know how we've investigated the Bailey House in Merritt a few times. It's another haunted location. A guy used to live there, and he made a bunch of blacksmith tools. And when he passed away, all of his blacksmith tools were shipped to the 108 Mile Blacksmith Shop to be put on display.
Really?
Yeah. And the guy that made them, his ghost is in the barn itself. So any time that anything is made can also be connected to a haunting.
Yep, his name was Melville Bailey, and he was one of the originals in the Bailey House in Merritt.
Yeah, we met the young lady who's actually joined us at the Bailey House this last session, and she says that was her teacher many years ago when she was young. And she actually, for the very first time, seen his ghost since he passed away.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if he is actually hanging around with his tools.
That's what I'm thinking of. That'd be kind of cool. You don't get to see a blacksmith in spirit very often.
How come?
They don't always stay solid to the ground. For some reason, blacksmiths don't hang around much. They have nothing to hang on to. They never look at the world with possession. They've always seen it. They just come, like they either come to someone's place, they work on the horses, or the people bring their stuff to them. And they were very non-possessive. The only thing that was important to them was their tools. Have tools will travel.
Makes sense. So they're kind of like a vagabond, so to speak.
Yeah. They just, whatever they're called to go, they go to a farmer's place to do their work, or a farmer would come into town and fix things. But they were never possessive of anything except what they own. That's pretty well it. That was their skill.
I want to take you guys back into the house for a second, because I've mentioned this on the air, and I'm not sure if you guys heard it or not. But during the evacuation, the lady who lives at the house, the caretaker of the heritage site, her name is Sheila, just a beautiful lady, great spirit, great energy. She never buys Cheerios. And when she was evacuated from the 108, like the rest of us were during the forest fires, she set the alarm to the building so nobody could get in there because everybody's evacuated. And off she went. When she came back, she started finding Cheerios everywhere. In between her couch cushions, in her recliner cushions, in her slippers, on the stairwell. Now, there were none of them. Like, there's no squirrels in the house. There's no mice in the house. There's nothing. And she, to this day, continues to find Cheerios. In fact, the week before the tour, or a few days before the last tour, she opened up her towel drawer. And it was like somebody dumped an entire cereal box of Cheerios in there. Mm-hmm. So now we have a mystery in trying to find out what the hell is with all the Cheerios inside her drawers and her shoes.
Again, that's in her drawers. Again, that's an apport. APPORT. Spirits they'll put things out in certain areas to get your attention. If it isn't coin, they'll use food. If it isn't food, they'll use rosaries or scents of smells or flowers. And they use anything. So if it's cereal, most likely, I got a funny feeling it's a child. That just to be mischievous.
Well, it could be Emily who's running around the house, the young little girl.
Yeah. Most likely it's her, and she's just letting you know she's there.
Mike, what do you think? Have you ever come across that?
The food thing? No, I haven't. I remember you telling me that story, and I'm like, wow, that would be a cool experience. I know I've set stuff up. I've set food up, or I've set silverware up to where anything would touch it, even a slight breeze, it would blow over just as an experiment. But no, I've never experienced that. I've experienced things going missing or being misplaced. I guess that's kind of the same thing. Like sometimes gear or batteries, when you're on investigations, you put the battery down to your right and it's over on the other table across the room. That's happened a few times. You get kind of wigged out by that. But no, I've never had the food thing. I usually eat it all.
Yes, I could see you doing that, mall cop. I could see you doing that. Corey, what's your feelings around the house when you
all the
were
gnomes?
inside?
All the gnomes in the house, Dave?
No, there are no gnomes in the house. You had to do it.
They must be the mob.
That is it. That's got to be the gnomes and the Cheerios.
Yep, the gnomes.
You know what? Both of you, we have a bad connection here. Maybe Corey and I need to finish up the show here.
There's a gnome in your truck? A gnome in your toilet?
No, there isn't. There isn't any gnomes around. All right? You got to be nice. You got to be nice.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Well,
busy signal.
No. Yeah, I had actually the cobwebs. I'm pretty sure it was in the men's parlor there when you walk into the house on the right. And I had cobwebs. I think I was on the left side of my face. And I remember Carrie, and I remember saying later when we were talking about cobwebs, and Carrie said, yeah, I saw you like reaching at your face and wiping something off your face. And I said, yeah, I thought I had like cobwebs on my face. I think that was in the August tour. And then when I was with Jim a couple of years ago, when we were upstairs, I was standing, so if you walk up the stairs, I can't quite remember, I think it's on the right side. There's a little hallway where all the rooms are. And he was talking, and I was at the very back, and somebody actually touched me on my back, on my left shoulder blade. Those are the only experiences I've had in the house. I have a good friend of mine that's very intuitive that's been up in the house and said that she thought there was something pretty nasty up there. You guys have never talked about that. I've never brought that up to you.
Which part again?
Upstairs in the main house. She said that she thought there was something pretty nasty up there. That was years ago. Things travel around. They don't necessarily have to be in the house all the time. They could travel, but that's what she said. She just told me that a couple of weeks ago, actually.
I think it's attached to the black dress upstairs or in that room. That black dress is very negative.
Okay, well, I don't remember. So where was the black dress? Next time we go upstairs, I'll take note of the black dress. From a distance, of course.
I believe it's first door on your right in the sewing room. It kind of looks like a funeral dress.
It is.
Okay.
The black dress is for funerals.
Yeah, that whole room. Because I remember the first time we went in there, they unlocked all the gates and we were allowed to go have full access to each room when we were conducting our investigation. And I couldn't stay in that room with a dress.
Well, Carrie says that he's on the last room on the right. She has seen the black entity in the upper right hall. He likes women. He likes women.
I just got like total goosebumps talking about that. That's just confirmation. I don't like it up there. It gives me post-house vibes, to put it that way.
All right, guys, it's time for us to wrap this up. Thank you so much about coming on for Ghosts of the Great White North. Derek, White Sky Cloud, Corey Greaves, Mike Morin, as always. Give us an update on what's happening with Haunted Crew of Canada.
Will do.
Oh, you want an update now? Is that what you're wanting?
Well, that's why I asked.
Yep, Haunted Crew of Canada. We have, we're currently lining up a 108 Mile with you. We have one in Penticton coming up. We just got to schedule a date probably for October. And then we're heading over to the island. We got an island one that we're hoping to do third week of October.
And this one has never been investigated before by anyone.
Nope, it's an old historic girls' school from the 1800s turned theater. It's a good one.
And when you're up here, gentlemen, we're going to investigate something that has never been done before. The original Gold Rush Trail.
I like it.
We're going to do it. Gentlemen, Corey, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio. You guys hold on. I'm going to wrap this thing up. Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background. Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, we get going with Rebel Planet News. Jamie Sexton is back. However, he's broadcasting from the Lone Star State, now in Texas rather than Las Vegas, as he continues to build RPN. We get going at spacedoutradio.com right at the stroke of 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern time. I want to say thank you to my team and everyone out there who is listening in. You in the Twitterverse, you in the chat rooms, everybody on social media taking the time to share our show one person at a time. That's why we keep growing bigger. That's why we keep getting better. And that's why we keep working hard for all of you. Thank you so much. Continue to share the word, people, because together, my friends, we own the night. Talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. Take us home.